Greetings. This is ENS News 1 with the Weekender for the weekend of September 11, 2022. I'm Michelle CrawfordSapent, the General Manager for ENS News 1 Enlightened News Source. This weekend, I have perused a number of issues that are facing our nation today. One of those things has to do with the House Select Committee investigation. And that investigation involves materials that were removed by former President Donald Trump from the White House, such that is being prosecuted by the federal government. While the Department of Justice has come face to face with what can be considered a roadblock, what is to happen in the future in terms of how the Department of Justice will handle this roadblock and whether or not these matters are stacking up to be fair and legitimate. What we saw in the past during the Trump administration and there towards the end of it was the fact that there were at least two events that occurred that could be considered criminal. One was the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. The second, entanglements of those events that transpired to prevent the election from being turned over to President Joe Biden. Well, in terms of turning over the election to Joe Biden, there were claims made by the Donald Trump ensemble or from the Donald Trump camp that the election had been stolen. And there were issues that were taken place that made efforts at by several members of the political community in Washington. Several issues that were taken place that pointed to the possibility of corruption. Well, at this point, what we are looking at is the possibility of whether or not a former president should be prosecuted, and thereafter, if found guilty, should a former president face imprisonment? That is the major question in this situation at this time. There are crimes that were committed during the insurrection. There were threats made on the lives of former Vice President Mike Pence and on Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. Those are crimes in themselves. In addition to that, there were 5 people who were killed on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. Who is responsible for those crimes? Is Donald Trump responsible for those crimes? Or are those who were insurrectionists solely responsible for what happened after they were called to Washington, D.C. for this big event? Well, those are matters that are being perused right now. And personally, I don't know that there has been any time that the United States despite the fact that a number of presidents have been, have been impeached, we haven't known of one yet that has been in prison. That's something to think about as we go forward, and it lands on our government and sets a precedent. So what does the United States, what